Welcome to Timberland Farms. Today we got to split some firewood. We're going to do a little bit of the toothpick challenge. I saw from Sam's doing stuff. We're going to try that challenge as well. He's got a vertical splitter and I have a horizontal splitter, so it's going to be a little bit different. I'll run through the rules just before we go and start that. But before we can get into firewood, I got to do some fixings around here. Found out the battery's dead in the skid steer. This is the second time it's happened, so I don't think the alternator's charging. I stole a part off the backhoe. We're going to throw that on here, see if it works. If it does, I'll order one and replace the one on the backhoe. While the battery's charging, I figure we go into this leak here. I think it's just the fittings need to be tightened up. In order to tighten this one up, I have to take this line off on neutral. And now we can take this line off. Now they got the other end disconnected. I always get confused which way this is supposed to go. So we're probably going to do this a couple times before we get it right. Let's try that out. See if I did this the right way. The right way. Alright, hopefully that stopped leaking. But while we got the grease going out, might as well grease this guy too. I have to fill up what we lost. We got our one wire converter right here. Plugs in with a resistor on the side of the alternator. Hopefully that does what we need it to do. But I'll hop in the cab, see if the voltmeter goes up. Hopefully the battery's charged enough. Let's try it. So you can guys hear me. Turn the key back on so that pops back up. So yeah, when that idles up, it goes back up. So that's all that was missing out of it. So I'll go ahead and order one of them. If you need an adapter like that, I'll leave a link in the description below where you can pick one up. But now we can get back to work. While I was pulling these 3 logs back with the tips of the forks popped right off the machine. So now we're just gonna have to cut the wood, get that out of there. And while he's cutting, I'm gonna do that toothpick challenge for you guys. In order to do the toothpick challenge, we can only use a single wedge. So we're gonna take this guy off and split things in half. For our contender here, I picked this ash round. You can pick any round you want. Try to make sure it's free of any knots. And it has to be less than 20 inches in diameter. I think it has to be greater than a certain size. But it's pretty good size right there. It's probably 15, 16, probably 14 or 15 inches in diameter. So we're gonna roll with this guy. The rules are pretty simple. All you gotta do is split this in half, and then you have to pick the smaller of the two. And then when you're done with that, you split it in half again. It has to be directly in half. And then you pick the smaller of the two. And you count how many times you get a split out of it. Sam was able to get 6 splits out of his vertical splitter. We're gonna see how many we can get out of this horizontal splitter. It's a homemade horizontal splitter, but I guess we can get to it. You can orient it any way you want. I think we go long ways first. And make sure you take a complete split. Now we have to take a smaller of the two. This one's definitely bigger, so we're going to have to put this one off to the side. Now we go ahead and split this one in half. See here, this one's bigger, so we got to take that one. And so far, that's 2 splits. We'll make another peaching split. We got to take the smaller of the two. Right here, this one. Not sure if I want to make another peaching split. You got to plan out your split here. Look the piece over, make sure there's no knots or anything. Just put it on the knot. I think I'll flip it over on the side. So make it half. Well, this one's obviously smaller, so we're going to have to go with a smaller piece. Now it's going to get really challenging. So far we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one's number 4. So that's 5 here. Boy, we're splitting hairs here. This one's the smaller of the two. Let's see how small we can make it. Obviously this side's smaller than this side. We should be able to get a good split. I didn't make a complete split, so that's it. So we did not make a complete split on this one, so this one doesn't count. So this was our first split here. We went down to this guy. This is our second split. This was our third split. This was our fourth split. This was our fifth split. And this is the other half of that fifth split. And you can tell that I wasn't successful, so we only got 5. But we're gonna finish on splitting firewood here. We gotta load up the dump trailer. Before we get too carried away with our splitting firewood, I want to nominate somebody for this challenge. Gabe from Orion Trees. I'd like to see you take a stab at doing the toothpick challenge. And I'll even one-up you. So later in the video, I'll even try doing it by hand. I picked another round that I think is a good size that's going to do pretty good. So I know that Orion Trees, they like to do everything with axes. So I'd like to see you guys do it with both. With your vertical splitter, I know you guys have, and with an axe. So post that video, see how many you can get. we're gonna do our other half of the challenge, the toothpick challenge here. So this is a nice, good size, probably 12, 14 inch diameter maple round. It's got a good size knot on the one side, but I think it's still a good contender. I'm gonna split this one in half with the Fiskars splitting axe. So like a 4 pound, 4.5 pound Fiskars. If any of you follow Gabe from Orion Trees, that's one of his go-to. So we're gonna try splitting this guy in half with that. I see that there's another knot right here on the top. We're gonna leave that on the bottom. I'm gonna try going in half, and I really hope that this doesn't screw me, having this big knot. But like I said, I challenge you, Gabe. I want to see how small you can get just splitting pieces in half. And I'd actually like to see Sam from Sam's Doing Stuff do this. Yeah, he's got a vertical splitter, but how good can we do on a hand split with an axe? I don't know how the rules are going to play with this guy. We only get one swing. I don't know, we're going to make up rules as we go, I guess. So I'm probably not going to break that in the first swing. I guess as they get smaller, you only get one chance, but for now, we'll throw it like this. Yeah, we're not getting it on one swing. Did not think so. All right, same rules apply. We got it in half. We need to look at the two halves, make sure we take the smaller of the two. And I got lucky on this one. I don't know if you see this crack here, but I almost had this one become my smaller one. Then I would have been fighting that knot this entire time. So we can chuck that off to the side and see if we get this guy in half. I see that there's a knot over here, so we're going to want to pay attention to that. Let's not screw ourselves there. All right, we need to take the smaller of the two, and it looks like it's this guy here. I'm going half again. So there's two swings, well, two attempts anyway, two splits. Take these two, figure out the smaller of the two. Looks like this guy. There's three splits. I'll try making another pie to stand up. I don't know if you count that or not. I guess you can. I did split it. And now we gotta try splitting this guy in half. See if we can get this guy to stand up. If we can't get it to stand up, I guess that's how many splits we got. Let's see. All right, there's our split in half. See if we can split this guy in half. Now we're making kindling. Toothpick challenge. Now I don't really need to take as big of a swing, so we'll try here. And I missed, so we're gonna call that. We got one half. There's a second split right there. There's our third split, fourth split, and this is our fifth split here. So I guess you call it 5 and 5. So if you want to do this competition yourself, put in your video hashtag toothpick challenge below in your description area and see how many you can get. I got 5 on both challenges I've tried to do, and Sam got 6 splits with his Easton-made axis. I'd like to see what he can do with an axe. So I challenge both you, Sam and Gabe from Orion Trees. See what you guys can do. But let's get back to cutting and splitting wood. next day. It's raining now and it's getting kind of muddy. We're still loading up the dump trailer with a load of firewood. This one's going to a good friend of mine. I'll probably even show you guys the delivery in another video. But I just got back with a load of stone there with a dump trailer. I'm going to fire up the skid steer and spread it out. Show you guys the mud. So we got a pretty firm base here, but we got puddles and everything. We have a load of crushed 3s right here. I just picked up a load of crushed 2s. So that's my area where I buck logs. So I get a little stone right there. I'll just use the remnants from this pile. And I'll top dress the driveway right here for log trucks to come in. And maybe dress up a little bit right here where there's quite a bit of ruts. I'll smooth that out with a bucket first before I put the stone down and make the best of what I can with what little stone I have. fix all of our mud problems, but it definitely made it better. I tried stretching that 4 ton as far as I can. And if you know anything about moving material, 4 ton is not a lot of material at all. But it's what I'm have access to. I don't really want to put a full triaxle dump truck load in here. I could actually use like 3 or 4 triaxle loads, but 1 4-ton load of crushed twos is definitely going to make a difference. Now we don't have sticky mud up on top. This will, crushed twos will mix in with the sticky mud. And this mud is not like topsoil mud. This is like shale clay. This is shale bed road. It's dug out. It's all shale. So all the fine particles are finding their way up. And this is going to mix in with those fine particles and turn into like nice concrete hard surface once it dries out. So all we have to do is track it in. We'll keep tracking it in with the skid steer and the truck with the dump trailer fully loaded. It'll help mush down that crush number 2 and turn out to be a really nice surface. But it's just mud season. It's that time of year. Until the ground freezes, this is what we're going to have to deal with. But I'm starting to get really frustrated with the bucket keep falling off, the forks keep falling off of this, so we might have to adjust that in a future video. But I guess I'll keep cutting. I'll grab a couple more logs and keep cutting and keep splitting. I'm thinking I know what's wrong with the forks here and the bucket. On the skid steer side, I've had a similar problem with the tractor, but we're going to address that in a future video. But until then, we're going to cut up this wood and they're going to continue loading up the dump trailer. Well, we've come full circle from logs to rounds down to splits and to the delivery. So this went to my good friend TJ. He's going to get plenty of heat out of this stuff. But stay tuned for the next video. It's going to be a real good one for you guys. But we might transition over into the shop and work on stuff in the shop to solve some of our problems. But until then, hope to see you soon. I hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving.